going on, everybody? I'm Cole Vanderheiden, 18-year-old sprint car driver out of Papillion, Nebraska, and this is The Breakdown. Welcome to episode 5. This episode is going to be mainly about kind of the driveline area and what goes under my seat and kind of what makes this car go other than the motor. First up, we have the U-joint. The backside of this U-joint is what hooks up to the motor. It goes through the motor plate. This is really the only thing that goes through the motor plate, through the hole. And so it hooks up to the motor right here, the back of it. I think by 4 bolts, and the other end hooks up to the drive shaft, which connects to the rear end. So the U-joint that we run is a Winners U-joint, and so like I said, it connects to the motor through the motor plate, which the other end has it's a 16 spline U-joint, so their drive shaft slides right in there with some grease and lube, and I don't have it all the way cleaned out yet, so but anyways, it connects to the drive shaft, which connects directly to the rear end through the torque tube, which I'm going to talk about next. This is our brand new torque tube that we just ordered from DMI, and it just came in last week, along with a couple other of these parts. And so basically, that drive shaft that I just talked about goes right through here. So this is hollow, and the drive shaft goes from the U-joint to the rear end through here. So this end would connect to the rear end with 6 bolts. Our last one actually had more than 6, which I think so. So this connects to the rear end, and this connects to the torque ball that goes around like that. That torque ball I just mentioned, this is what this is called. We have the longer one. We just got a longer one this year. So it goes around the torque tube, which basically it goes into the housing right here, which I'm going to talk about next. And it basically is just holding the drive shaft and the U-joint in place, and kind of protects it all from anything flying rocks or anything that flies into my cockpit. So like I said, this is our brand new housing that we just got. It's a new 6-bolt housing, and so there's 6 holes right here for 6 bolts that go into the motor plate. So this U-joint will sit like this, and this will go on the other side of the motor plate, connected to the motor, and then this will be connected to the motor plate like this. So it'll be sitting in the car kind of like that. So once you get the housing connected to the motor plate, you're gonna put the torque tube is gonna be sitting kind of like this. But first, you got to put this on the torque tube, which I'm not going to do for the video, but the big round piece of the torque ball is going to be sitting right here. And during our weekly maintenance that we do, almost nightly maintenance, we lube up the edges right here so it's able to spin freely during racing or just during anything. So and then we lube underneath this ball on the torque tube, so the torque tube's able to spin freely as well. So once you get this torque ball in here, we have a little bracket that'll sit in place on these 4 studs. And then we got the 4 nuts on here that will keep that in place while we're racing. And sometimes I will admit that I sometimes forget to tighten these all the way. So make sure you're tightening your torque ball bolts and nuts before you go out and during your maintenance. It's one of our biggest things that we do now, because during my first year racing, my torque tube actually fell out. I think it actually broke. So, but anyways, always check your bolts. Make sure your bolts are tight because these are some pretty important bolts. So back here would be the rear end, and this would be bolted to the rear end right here. And I'd be sitting right here, and my right leg would be right here, my left leg would be right here. So this is directly under our butts. My butt's probably right about here. So it's definitely pretty close and pretty chaotic in the cockpit. And so this is what it would look like. Once we do our maintenance, we take these 4 nuts off, we pull that back, and we wipe it all down, and we pull the torque ball back, wipe the torque tube down, and then we grease it all, grease the torque tube, and then we grease the edge of the ball, like I said, so it's all able to spin freely and all lubed up. And once we get all that connected, this will already be connected to the motor. We don't ever touch this unless we're taking the motor out and swapping motors, which we tend to not do in my car, at least. So this stays connected to the motor, and it'll go in there and connected to the drive shaft, which is also connected to the rear end through here and connected to that U-joint right here on the other end. One more thing I wanted to talk about in this episode 5 is our shifter cable. Our shifter right here, sprint cars are direct drive, if you guys didn't know that, meaning that it only goes into one gear. And once you put it in the gear, you got to push start it, which starts the oil pressure. And then once you get oil pressure, you can flip the switch and turn the power on, and you start rumbling. So I don't know if this works right now, but because it's not set up. So if it's sitting up like this, this would be on the right side. So I'd be sitting right here in the car, and it would be up. Up would be out of gear, that'd be in neutral, so it's able to roll freely. And then let's say they're pushing me down to the track where they push start us. We're rolling down the ramp at Eagle Raceway, down to the backstretch for a heat race. And once we stop, we're gonna put it into gear, which there's a little lever that connects to the rear end that has another lever on the rear end, which we'll talk about in another video all about that. So once you put it into gear, you're good to go. And then once you start pushing and once they start rolling, you can feel the tires start to roll, and you'll get oil pressure right on your dash. Then you turn your fuel on, and then you flip the power switch, and your car will start. So this is pretty much what you need one of the things you need to start a sprint car, along with all of that we just talked about under my feet, and all the Driveline products. So yet again, there's another video. This is episode 5 of finding out what new parts are, and teaching you guys more about my race car and what all comes with a sprint car exactly. So another video of parts that you don't know if they really matter, if they fall off or we don't have. Those are definitely all parts that we need, especially the shifter cable, because without that, I wouldn't be able to put it in gear. And if that breaks, then you're pretty much done for the night, unless you have another one that connects to the lever that connects to the rear end. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys learned something about Drivelines or my shifter cable, and I'll see you guys next week in episode 6. Go Big Red, beat Penn State.